Very good afternoon, students. Whether the screen is visible? Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks, Ravi. Thank you, Disha. Okay, so we'll start. So very good afternoon to everyone. So after 2 days of gap, we will resume again with our course, that is the data communication network. So we are in the verge of completing the unit 1. We have still 2 more topics. After completion of this current topic, we'll move on to the last topic. Possibly by today, we'll start the last topic. Okay, so we'll go to the class today. So in the last class, we have started this IEEE 802.11, that is a wireless LAN architecture. Starting with the system architecture, we have completed that one, and we are in the midway of a protocol architecture. Okay, so this is the agenda that we are going to have for this today's class. So we are going to discuss about this protocol architecture for today's class. Then we'll move on to the then we'll be move on to the next, that is the cables and the connectors. Okay, so what we have discussed in the previous class, we have discussed about the protocol layering, then the ISO OSI layers, and also with the TCP we have discussed about the comparison between the TCP IP and the OSI. And we have and I also played the video which gives more pictorial and clear representation of function of each and every layers. Are you clear with the OSI layers, students? Do you have any doubt with the OSI layers? Ravi?
No, sir.
Okay, so are you clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll proceed for this today's class. So last class we have discussed all these things, system architecture. Then we are on the starting stage of protocol architecture. So as you know that why we are going for layering? Why we are going for layering? Any answers? Disha? Why we are going for layering, ma? Disha? Are you there,
Yes,
Disha?
yes, sir.
Yes. Why you are going for layering?
Sir, for better network connectivity, sir.
Okay, now to approach the complex problem. Okay, we are going to divide the entire problem into different layers, or you can say different stages. Okay, so each and every stages are the layers. It is governed by each protocol. So that is why we are going for the protocol layering. Okay, here also we will be discussing the 802.11 under the two different layers. One is the physical layer, another one is the data link layer. So what is the function of physical layering? What is the function of physical layer? Any answers? What is the function of physical layers? Students, what is the function of physical layers?
It's a transmission of bits.
Little bit louder, pa. Very good. Little bit louder.
It's a transmission of bits.
Okay, exactly. Transmission of your information in the form of bits. That's why your physical layer deals with. Then what about the layer 2, data link layer? What is the function of data link layer?
Sir, it transform bits to frames, sir.
Okay, so you are saying in the bottom up approach, it will be converting the bits into the frames. Okay, so what is the main task of this data link layer? You from the figure you can see only the two regions are being shaded. Okay, one is the physical layer, one is the data link layer. Under the data link layer, you have two sublayers available. What are they? Do you know? What are the two sublayers available in the data link layer?
So that's
You
the
can
head
see
and tail.
here. Pardon?
So that's the head and tail.
Okay, that is not sublayer. That is you are adding a portion in which conveys the information to the package. So there are two sublayers. One is the LLC, other one is the MAC. What is the MAC? Last class we have discussed about the MAC. What does the MAC stands for?
Medium access control.
Yes, exactly. So when you say a media or a medium access control, what does it mean? What does it mean? From the name itself, you can get the information. What is a media access control? So if you want to transmit your information, you need to capture your media first for your transmission. It may be a wired media, it may be a wireless media. So this MAC will be taken care of your capturing of that is a media, whether it may be a wired or a wireless media. That is said to be the media access control. Then you have the one more sub layer in layer 2, that is called LLC, logic link control. So it is used to link, that is a logic layers will be linked by this LLC. That's why you have two sub layers in the layer 2, that is the data link layer. One is for linking and other one is for accessing the control. Okay, so this protocol architecture of this IEEE 802.11 will deals with this physical layer and also this data link layer. Okay, as you know that whenever you go proceed from any devices to other device for your data transfer, it has to come down from the application layer. It has to again go back through physical layer to that particular layer. Then again it has to come back. That is how you go with when you proceed with this towards the destination from the source. Okay, so here you can take, you have a laptop, that is your source, or you can say host, or it may be end device. Then you have the access point, then you have the infrastructure through which you will be communicating, then you will be reaching your destination. So wherever you go, you need to follow the same layering, or you can say procedure. As you know that while discussing about the layering, we discussed two type of layering. One is a simple layering which composed of a single layer, and other one is the 3-layer in order to reduce the complex task of a encryption and decryption. Okay, so this is how the normal procedure involves when you go for any data transfer. So this protocol architecture of 802.11 deals with the physical layer and the data link layer. Okay, so this is, as you know that there are two types of LAN, or you can say you will be having the switched LAN, or you can say IEEE 802.3, that is the Ethernet. So by using these bridges, you can able to connect this LAN. So that is what your system architecture. In system architecture, you can see you have, this is one type of LAN and this is another type of LAN. You can able to connect by using this system, that is access point. Okay, so that is what you can able to have this Ethernet, or by using the bridges you can able to connect. So you can able to see the differences that exist when you go with the wired and wireless connectivity. So wireless LAN will be on the slower side when compared with a wired architecture. As you know that we are going to transmit your data in a open space or air as the medium. So in that case, you have more amount of environmental factors rather than you have when you're going to go for a transmission through wired transmission media. Okay, so here when you go for this layered architecture, the upper part of the data link control, okay, that is the logic link cover, will be taken care and covers the difference of the medium access and controls the need for the different media. So it takes care of the need for the media. When you go with any type of media, what is the need available, that will be taken care by this logic link control. So it is going to provide the link connectivity for the nodes. So that is why this LLC plays a vital role. So in this case, you can see that these are the connectivity in which you will be having with the physical and the data link layer. So you have the MAC, that is the media access control. We go for the fragmentation, that is the dividing that you can say grouping the bits into form of phrase, that is the frames, and we'll go for the encryption. That is nothing but you are going for a hiding, that is you will go for the data hiding, then you proceed for the higher layers. That is why you normally goes with a layering structure. Then these MAC will have the management, that is a MAC management. You go for the synchronization, then you have the roaming, then information base, then you have the power control. So those things will be taken care by this MAC management. So you can have the different management. So for physical layer, it is called physical management, and for the data link layer, you can say with respect to MAC, it is said to be a MAC management. As a whole, between these two, you can able to call it as a station management. Since we deals only with these two layers, we concentrate only this one. Okay, so Here, this is a sublayer. As you know that this DLC has two sublayer. One is the MAC, other one is the LLC. Here also, you will be using this PLC. That is the Physical Layer Convergence Protocol. Okay, that is a PLCP. Okay, then the next one, PMD, is the medium dependent. Normally, this will take care of your modulation and coding scheme, and this will take care of your channel assessment signal. Okay, so this is a sensing the carrier. This will be taking care with the two sublayers in this physical. Here also, as I told that you have the management. This also used for the channel selection and information base. Okay, that is the management of information base. Then this station management will coordinate all the management function. It may be a MAC management or it may be a physical management. It will take station management will takes care of this one. Okay, so the basic task of the MAC layer comprises of the medium access. What is the primary task? You need to access the capture the medium in which you are going to transfer your data. Next one, the fragmentation of the user data, then encryption. So these are the subtasks that are associated with this main task. Then this PLCP, that is the Physical Layer Convergence Protocol, provides the carrier sense signal, that is normally called CCA, that is the clear channel assessment, and provides the service access point, that is the SAP. Then PMD, it handles the modulation and encoding and decoding of the signal. Okay, then the MAC management, it supports the association and reassociation, that is establishing the connection with your neighbors, that is said to be association. If you want to resume your association which has already created, that is also possible with this reassociation, that is detaching to any access point when you are going, when you are moving. Reassociation is means when you are roaming, you may be connected with one base station. If you are moving, you may be able to disconnect with a particular base station and you want to reconnect with another base station. That is said to be the reassociation. So those things will be taken care by this MAC management. Am I audible and clear, students? Nirmal? Am I audible, Pa?
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you. The next one, we'll be dealing more with this MAC. So it provides the authentication mechanism, encryption, then synchronization. These are the responsibilities that we already discussed with this ISO architecture of OSLIS. Then with regardless of any access point or the power management, normally the power management plays a vital role in the wireless devices in order to save the battery power when you go for the transmission continuously for a long packets. Okay, so this MAC management also plays a vital role for the management information base, that is the MIB. Then you have the main task of the physical management that includes the channel tuning and so the receiver and the source. The receiver may be an intermediate device or maybe end device. So in order to tune the channel so that each one can receive the data which have been transmitted. Okay, so this station management interact with both management layers, that is the physical management and also with the MAC management, and is responsible for the additional higher layer functions for linking with the other layers. Then when you go with the physical layer, there are three versions available. You can say there are two type of radio which will be operating at a 2.4 gigahertz and one will be with the infrared. One will be the free space, other one is with respect to the infrared. It will be operating at the data rate of 1 Mbps or 2 Mbps. Then the spec spectrum, under the spec spectrum concept, we make use of the both the spec spectrum. There are two type of spec spectrum available. Hope you will be discussing in communication systems. One is the frequency hopping spec spectrum, other one is the direct frequency. So when you say the frequency, we know everyone knows about the hopping. The distance between the two nodes is said to be the hops. When you say the frequency hopping, the when you want to switch from one node to other, it will take more than one or two frequencies for moving from one source to the other. It may be intermediate. That is said to be the frequency hopping spectrum. Spectrum is nothing but you are going to spread the signal. A narrowband signal will be spread over a wide range of frequencies. That is said to be the spectrum. You can have the two classification of spectrum. One is the frequency hop, other one is the direct sequence. So here we will go for the spreading. At the transmitter side, you will go for the spreading. At the receiver side, we'll go for the despreading. At the receiver side, you'll go for the despreading. Then you can able to transmit at a rate of 1 bits 1 Mbps. Then you can have 2.5 frequency per hops. Okay, per hops you can able to change 2.5 frequencies. Okay, as I told that more than one frequency you will be shifting when you go with one hop to the other hop. Okay, so it make use of a GFSK modulation scheme, and that is with the FSS. Then when you go for the direct sequence spectrum, you will be having these two modulation scheme with a data rate of 1 Mbps and 2 Mbps. That is a differential binary phase shift keying and a differential quadrature phase shift keying. So when you deal with the physical layer, it comes always with a modulation. So only with the modulation, you go with a longer distance for your data. So you will be adding the preamble and the header frames with the particular data rate, and you will be having the chipping sequence. So when you deal with this direct sequence spectrum, you will come to know about the chipping sequence. Okay, that we will be discussing in detail in the communication systems. Okay, then the radiated power when you go for any transmission, that is available in terms of watts and milliwatts. Then this is about this 2.4 gigahertz. Then when you go with one infrared, that is also a open air transmission. So you'll be having this 850 to 950 nanometer with a range of 10 meter. It also is for the carrier direction, energy direction, and synchronization. So this is how your physical layer of 802.11 architecture works with. Then this is the frame format. As you know that whenever you are transmitting any information, definitely it will be having the frame in which, or you can say the format in which you are going to transmit your data. So this the physical frame format of this 802.11 physical frame, when it makes use of the frequency hopping spectrum, will be available in this format. Okay, so it consisting of a synchronization as a sequence of bits, then start frame delimiter, then you have this length word, that is a PDU, that is the packet data unit. So the packet data unit is nothing but, you know that at each and every layer how the information is converted into one form to other form. Starting from message from the application layer, when it reaches the transport layer, you will be having the information or the message will be in the form of a segments. Okay, segment will be converted into packet, packet will be converted into frame, the frame will be converted into bits. So those informations or message are called a packet data units. Okay, so this PLCP is nothing but protocol, that is a PDU, or you can say the PDU length word. Okay, so these are the fields that are available. Then PLCP, that is a signaling field. Then you have the header error checksum. Okay, so this information is to calculate the error that are being accumulated when you are going to transmit your data, or that is being added when you're going to transmit the data. The payload consisting of the actual information that you transfer as a message other than your header information. So that is said to be the payload. The amount of the data or the type of the data that is available will be represented in this payload field. Okay, so this is about the frequency, that is FHSS of spectrum. Then you will spectrum here also you will be having the synchronization SFD. Then this additional field, that is a signal. Then you have the service, then length. So these are the three different fields that gets added along with the header error control, that is different from your frequency hopping spectrum. So this is the three different fields which provides a type of service. What is the type of service that is being referred? Then the length of the bits that is used for this payload that will be available. Then as usual you will have the error check at the last field. Okay, so you just remember what is the format available when you want to transfer any information. So this is a fixed frame, or you can say fixed format in which you are going to transmit with the spectrum concept. The second layer is the media access control. Here we make use of the traffic services, either maybe a asynchronous data services or maybe a time-bound services. When you go for the time-bound services, we make use of this PCF, that is a point coordination function. As you know that we are going for a media access control. We need to coordinate certain activities that will be taken care by this point coordination function. Then access method. There are several methods in which you can able to capture your channel or capture your wired media so that you can able to transfer your data. So here we make use of the three access method in the case of the MAC. One is the DF, okay, DFWMAC, okay. The next one, DF MAC DCF, that is the distributed coordination function. Then RTS CTS, okay. So then finally you have DFWMAC, okay. So normally distributed function wireless MAC, distributed function wireless MAC, okay. So this is how we are going to discuss with the access method. So when you go for the first method, that is a optional, that is a mandatory one, compulsory one, that is used to check this CSMA-CA. So when you say CSMA, that is a carrier sense multiple access. As you know, A stands for access. You are going to capture the channel. M stands for multiple. If we have more than one users at a time to capture the channel, we need to take care that one. Then CS stands for the carrier sense. When multiple users are accessing the carriers at the same time, there is a possibility of a collision. So we need to avoid collision, and also we need to detect collision such that it does not happen. Whenever you have, if you have or if you encounter any type of collision, it normally results in a loss of the packets. So in order to avoid the collision in the network, we'll go for the CA mechanism. CA stands for the collision avoidance. So for that, what is the solution? If more than one people tries to access the channel, you're going to sense the channel. If someone is accessing, you need to back off you. Okay, you need to procast your sending mechanism. Okay, you need to make a delay, and you are going to sense the channel again. Then you are going for again transmission. During that time also, if you feel that the channel is still busy, you need to back off your time. Okay, so that is said to be the back off mechanism. The back off can be a random in nature, or it may be binary backoff. Okay, there are several backoff mechanisms available. So in order to avoid collision, normally we go for the backoff mechanism. Then you should have a minimum distance between the consecutive packets. When you're going to transmit it, normally if you are going to transmit a larger packet, you are going to break those packets into smaller ones. So you should have some time delay between the consecutive packets in order to involve with the collision. Okay. Then the acknowledgement for the packets, normally we are not going for any broadcast. You know what is a broadcast? Broadcast, can you tell me the meaning for broadcast? What is broadcast? Ravi? What is broadcast? Dharanidharan? What is broadcast? Dharanidharan? Gayatri? Sai Kumar? Anyone can answer.
To scatter the information all over the world, sir.
Pardon? Come
To
again?
scatter the information all over the world, sir.
Okay. Whoever available in the wireless environment, everyone will be receiving. What about multicast? Good. Very good. What about multicast? What about multicast, Pa? Gokul? Harish? Jay Sharma? Jay Sharma, are you there? Jay Sharma?
Sir, more than 2 broadcasts.
More than?
2 broadcasts, sir.
No. Broadcast is means if everyone is available in the class, if everyone is receiving, for example, if you say there are 57 students in the class, whatever I say, if everyone is receiving, that is said to be a broadcast. So if I am pointing a certain group of students, that is said to be your multicast. Okay. So that is the difference between, you will be one among those 57, but there is a group available in which I am pinpointing them. So those are called as a multicast. Here you don't have any broadcast for this acknowledgement. It mean that it does not go for all the users available. Okay, so that is the case here. The second mechanism for assessing will be DFWM, that is WMAC, wireless MAC, that is with the DCP. DCF with RTS and CTS. RTS stands for the request to send and CTS stands for the clear to send. See, normally when this is being initiated by any user, normally the receiver who receives this information will wait until the CTS information comes. Okay. So normally, once the data is being transmitted after the CTS, first normally they will be requesting for RTS. Okay. The next they will be sending, once RTS being received, then they will be sending the CTS. Once CTS is being transmitted, they will go for the data transmission. When once RTS is being transmitted, until the data acknowledgement is being transmitted, the other stations who wants to transmit, they will wait until they receive the acknowledgement or the CTS signal. Okay, so this is how we will go for the backing of your data transmission. The finally you have the optional mechanism, that is the access point with a DFW MAC. Okay, so it polls. The polling is the scheme that normally used in this final case. You may go or you may not go with these two cases. Okay. You can then the next one is the priority. What do you mean by priority? So when normally the priority will come into picture? When the priority will come into picture? When the priority will come into picture, Pa? Anyone can answer? Malavika? Naveen? What is called priority?
Sir, when two terminals want
When two terminals?
access point at the same time.
When I cannot hear you properly. You just come again.
Sir, when two terminals wanted to access the access point at the same time,
Exactly. Very good. Very good. When two terminals they want to capture the media or want to transmit, in that case you want to decide the priority, who is having the highest priority. Okay. So with that priority, you can able to stop the collision. Normally, why you are going for priority? In order to stop the collision, we want everyone to transmit. But at the same time, if everyone is transmitting simultaneously, there is a possibility of collision. That is why we are giving some priorities so that each one will be getting their turn such that they can able to transmit the data so that there won't be any collision. Okay, that is why you are going for the priority. So these are defined through different interframe spaces. So normally with a Mac, we will be transmitting your frame. So each and every frame, you need to have some spaces. Okay, that is said to be the interframe spaces. You may have two types. One is the you have three types of frames available. One is SIF, PIS, that is a PIFS. Other one is the DIFS. SIF is nothing but short interframe spacing, that will be very minimum. And you, in this case, there is no guarantee. You will be go with the hard priorities. Okay. So when you have the highest priority, even though you are transmitting, you will be allowed to transmit with a high priority. Okay. So you have the SIFS short interframe spacing. It is having that highest priority for ACK and CTS. And you have the polling response. Okay. So these are the case in which you have the priorities. Then PIFS has the medium priority, and it is for the time-bound services by using the point coordination function. And DIFS is having the lowest priority, and it is for the asynchronous data services. Okay, can you give an example for the asynchronous data, or you can say asynchronous application or synchronous application? Can you give, anyone can give a real-time real-time application of asynchronous and synchronous? What is the synchronous and asynchronous? You just tell me. Our live conversation, or you can say live streaming, comes under the synchronous or asynchronous? Students, live streaming comes under the synchronous or asynchronous, pa? Students?
Synchronous.
Synchronous. Okay, you need to parallelly synchronize with your sender and the receiver so that you will be having your live conversation. Then, what can you give an example for the asynchronous? Asynchronous data services. Ahino? Asynchronous data services we are using in real time. Dino, Jay Sharma, what about your email? Whether it's a synchronous or asynchronous? What about your email? Whether it is a synchronous or asynchronous, pa? Kanmani? Kanmani, are you there? Kanmani?
Yes, sir.
Whether your email is a synchronous or asynchronous data service? It need not be that you have to be synchronous always with your sender. So when sender sends a message, he doesn't bother about whether it is being transmitted at the same time or 5 minutes later on. Okay, that is said to be your asynchronous. Okay. This is how about the asynchronous data service. So in that case, you will be giving the lowest priority, whereas in this case of SIPF, you will be having the highest priority. Okay, so first we will go for the channel, whether you are going to check whether it is a free or not. So initially you will wait for this DIFS. Okay, so direct access. So if the medium is free, normally you will go. If someone is being again checking for the medium, so it seems that medium is busy, so that you will be waiting for this frame that is a frame spacing. After that, again the user will comes for the contention. Contention means it is nothing but you are going to compete with each other for capturing of data. Okay, once during this contention period, when you are of any of this case, which is having high priority, medium or low priority, you will be capturing the channel, then you will be transferring your frame. So this is how normally the priority will be assigned when you go for a data transmission with the help of the data link layer with the MAC. Normally for a FHSS, you will be having 50 microsecond, then 20 microsecond for direct sequence. So this is one slot, a slot consisting of several sequence intervals of time, separated by several intervals of time. And this one by using the CSMA CA, here also the same mechanism. You will be waiting initially, you straight away you may not able to transmit your data. You will wait for the first DFS period. Then if you capture the channel, you will be transmitting, so that others will be waiting for the until the medium is busy. Then again you wait for the DFS. Then you will be go for the contention. So here when you have more users that are being contented, you will wait for the random amount of time. So that is how it normally takes place. Once you capture the frame, that is capture your channel, then you will be transmitting your next frame. So this is how that I have been given with this chart. You will be having the sender, you will be having the receiver. So sender sends the data. So with start IFS, you will be acknowledged by the receiver. Then again, you will be other channels will be start transmitting after it is being acknowledged. After being acknowledged, you cannot straight away you can transmit your data. Again, you have to wait for the same DFSs. Okay, so that is what is stated here. Then with RTS CTS mechanism, first we'll wait for this RTS as I told. Before transmitting RTS, you will go for this DFS period. Then once RTS is being received, this you will be receiver will send the CTS after being start in interframe spacing. Then you will be transmitting your data. Then you will be receiving your acknowledgement. So this is how transmit takes place. From here, then like this, you will be transmitting. So when you are started conversation with your receiver, during that time interval, you just look out the other station, they will be put into wait mode. That is called network allocation vector. So the vector will have that no other stations will be allowed to transmit. So it possesses some value such that if it is a high value, it indicates that it is being occupied by some other station. So that you will have to wait for this RTS CTS conversation that is getting over. Then you will be allowed to go for the contention. Then you go for the normal contention transmission. You capture the channel. Again, you process the same process for transmission using this MAC. Then PCF with the polling. See, normally you go for the polling. This is an optional mechanism, and there is no guarantee that you have the maximum access delay or the transmission bandwidth will be very minimum. Okay, you cannot guarantee that. That's why that's given as a optional one. Okay, here we make use of the super frame. It is a additional frame which consisting of several information. It comprises of the contention free period and the contention period. So where you want to content, where the you have the contention free. So those things will be available with the super frame when you go with this polling mechanism. Okay, so you just to know the concept how we can able to access the channel when we are operating with a 802.11 under the link layer, that is the layer 2. So you have three mechanisms available. One is RTS CTS, other one is the CSMA CA, and finally with the polling mechanism. Okay, you just know the concept how we are going to deal with these three mechanisms. Okay. So here also the same thing will comes into picture, that is the PIFS. Okay, so whenever you transmit any information, you need to wait for this SIFS, or you can say PIFS. Okay, so this is a short framing interval with some priority that is being added with your data that is being transmitted. Okay. So this is the MAC frame. Normally we have discussed about the DCF with a DSS and a frequency hopping frame, how exactly a MAC frame will be. Okay, so the media access frame will be like this one. So you have the frame control that is slot, then you have the duration, then you have the address fields that are available. You know the MAC address, then you have the sequence control, then you have the data and the CRC, cyclic redundancy check, that is used for checking your error bits. Okay. The types will be of a control frame, whether it's a management frame or the data frame. So that defines your type of the frame that is going to transmit. So the sequence number, in order to avoid the duplication, each and every frame has to be given some number, that is said to be a sequence number. So it has to be ensured that in order to avoid the duplicate frame or the frame that is being lost. So you want to retransmit the frame again. So unless otherwise you have some identity for each frame, you cannot able to transfer. That's why a sequence number plays a vital role when you go for the frame transmission. Then address of the physical MAC there where you want to transfer. As you know that you have physical and you have the logical, which is IP, and another one is the MAC. Then you will be having the miscellaneous parameters as sending time, then check time, checksum, then the frame control and other data parameters. Okay, so the frame control will deals with these parameters. So you have the frame control consisting of these parameters. Okay, so this is of 2 bytes in length. You have this 16 bits that is represented by over here. Okay, so what is the protocol version? What is the type of the frame that you want to transmit? Then what are the subtypes available? So to which destination? So from which DS? Okay, then about the flag, then power management. Then so these are the additional parameters that gets along with your frame control mechanisms. Okay, so this is what described with this text. We just skip those parameters. Okay, so this is what the frame that have been given over there. So to DS, from DS, all the things will be in the form of bits, zeros and ones. Okay, if it is a 00, so you have a DA, SA, and a BSS ID. So these information will be available when you have this field. So destination address, source address, and your base, that is a to which ID or to which LAN you are being connected, basic service set ID. So that is a BSS ID. So when you are connected with any network, normally when you check your mobile, you have the basic service set ID. So with that, who will be the source and who will be the destination, that you will come to know. Then with the 01, you have the variant here. Then 10, you have the another variant. Then 11, you have the other variant here. Okay. So with this, you will come to know to whom you are connected, by what means you have been connected. That will come to know. Okay. So that's all about the 802.11. It may be asked in either 14 mark question or maybe asked in a 8 mark question. Okay. So now we come to the activity. So with respect to the data that is being carried out, with respect to the OSI and the topic that you have discussed earlier now. So we have this activity now. You kindly answer these questions which are given here. Let me read out the questions one by one. You have six questions available here. First one, IEEE have defined the specification for the wireless LAN. what is the standard that is being that is covers the physical and the data link layer? As you know that IEEE deals with the physical and data link layer. So what are they? What are the standard that is given by the IEEE? Students, you have 4 answers available. IEEE for the wireless LAN. What is the standard available? 802.3, then 802.11 and 802.2. What is this one? What is the answer?
802.11.
Oh, good. 802.11. So that is the correct answer. Second one, in IEEE 802.11, a dash is made of stationary or mobile wireless station and a optional central base station known as the access point. So here, what is made up of stationary or mobile among these three? Which is a stationary?
BSS.
BSS, exactly. So the BSS, basic service set, is made up of stationary or a mobile wireless station. Okay. Next one, in IEEE 802.11, yeah, BSS without AP. So when you have BSS but you don't have any AP, then such a type of network is termed as, what is the name of the network? So when you, as I already told that, when you have some access point, it is said to be a term, or you can say it is having some facilities. So what is the answer for this one? You have without AP. So what does it mean? What is exactly the answer is? IEEE 802.11. Yes, ADOC, excellent. So ADOC architecture is the answer for this one. Whenever you have, when you don't have any access point, it is said to be a ADOC. Next one, IEEE 802.11, yeah, BSS with an AP. So when you have the facility, then it is called, you have the same
Infrastructure network.
Infrastructure network. Very good. Next one, in IEEE 802.11, a communication between two stations in two different BSS. You have one BSS here and another BSS here. When you have the communication between two BSS, okay, that normally happens via, through which you will have this BSS communication.
ESS.
Huh?
ESS.
Okay, ESS is nothing but a combination of all these three. But you listen the question. This is one BSS and you have another BSS. How the communication normally take place?
Access points.
Exactly. By means of this access point, you can communicate within the network and also outside the network. The combination of several BSS will forms the ESS. Okay. Final. Yes, ma? Yes. Do you have any doubt? Okay, so we'll proceed for the last question. In IEEE 802.11, a station with dash mobility is either a stationary or moving only inside the BSS. Huh? What is the answer? In IEEE 802.11, a station with dash mobility is either a stationary or moving it only inside a BSS. What is the answer? No transition, BSS transition, ESS transition, none of the above. Any answers? Definitely one among the four. Definitely you won't have this one. So you'll be having only three among the three, one among the three. IEEE 802.11, a station with dash mobility is either a stationary or moving inside a BSS. So if you don't know, I'll tell the answer. So the answer is no transition. So a station with no transition mobility. Okay, so you will be residing inside a BSS. Okay, so that's all for the topic with 802.11. So we'll move on to the next topic. We'll have an introduction over those topics now. So this is what we are discussing. Now we'll move on to the topic discussion, the transmission media. So where, in which layer we will make use of this transmission media? Any answers? Transmission media. Which layer takes responsibility of transmission media? Students,
Physical.
which layer?
Physical.
Physical layer, exactly. The physical layer will take the responsibility of a transmission media. So here we are going to discuss what is the transmission media. Then what are the classification of those transmission media that we will be discussing. So classification of transmission media and the cables. What are the different types of cables and the connectors that are being used in this transmission media that we will be discussing now. So we have 5 to 10 minutes more, it seems. So till then we will be discussing this concept. So as you know that the transmission media is the physical media in which you will be connected or through the wireless media or an open space in which you will be connected with the two entities or the end devices, so that you can able to share your information either a stream of bits when you are proceeding from a physical layer. Okay, so when you go with the physical layer, you have the sender, then you have the receiver. So this is how the communication normally take place with the transmission media. So it will be a cable or it may be it is a wireless or it may be a wired. So you will be having a stream of bits. Okay, it may be ones or zeros, or it will be in electrical form. Normally it will be in electrical form when you go with the physical cables. Okay, so stream of bits will be converted into the electrical signal, then it will be passed through the cables. Okay, so this is this transmission media, that is a physical media located below the physical and it directly controlled by the physical layer. So this will be normally they will be having the cables that will be laid here between the two layers. Okay, so it will be which have a control over the physical layer. You will be having the free space, metallic cable or the fiber optic cable that you will be using for your data transmission. The information is usually a signal, that is nothing but a conversation of data from another form. Okay, so you will be having your information which is available in the stream of bits that will be converted into a signal. That is what is stated here. Okay, so this is how your transmission media is being involved. So students, kindly let me remind me so that I will stop at 1 p.m. Okay. So how can you classify? Do you know the classification of the media? How can we classify? Any answers?
Wired and wireless.
Wired and wireless. So you have this classification. So wired and wireless, that is called technically it is called as a guided media, and it is a unguided media. It is said to be a guided means you have a proper channel available in which you will be allowed to pass with a particular distance at a particular time. Okay, whereas in the case of unguided, you don't have any features for guiding. For example, when you transmit in open air, you may have any obstacles, it may go in any direction. So that is it's said to be unguided. It is said to be wireless. So this guided media, again you can able to further classify into three categories. One is the twisted pair cable, then coaxial cable, then you have the fiber optic cable. Hope everyone will be aware of the physical representation, or you can say the physical form in which these cables are available. If you are not aware, we'll have the slides available to know exactly how it looks like. Okay, twisted pair. From the name itself, you can see that twisted. It will be twisting. Two cables will be twisted one by one. Okay, so that is the twisted pair. Then coaxial cable. It is like your cable. Normally, your cable wire comes to your home for a direct DTH. Okay, it looks like a single solid wire which is surrounded by a sheath and a copper parts. Okay, so that is the coaxial cable. Normally you have. Then fiber optic cable. Your cable surrounded with a glass fiber and a light will be flow through that fiber. Okay, that is what this fiber optic cable. Then you have the radio waves, you have the microwave. So these are operating at different frequencies and different speeds. Then finally you have the infrared. So these are the wireless media in which you will be transmitting your data. See, normally this infrared finds your application in a real time with a TV remote. When you press a particular button in your remote, a corresponding signal will be transmitted from your remote, and it will be received by your receiver, which is available at the TV set. So a corresponding activity will be taken place at the receiver end. So this is how your communication is performed. So when you go with a guided media, that is a wired media, you can see. So these are the types of the cables that normally connected with a different parts. So it provides the conduct or the channel from one device to other. If you want to physically establish a connection from one device to other, we normally go with these cables. It includes twisted pair, coaxial cable, and fiber optic cable. A signal traveling along this media is directed and contained by the physical limits of the media. Each and every cable have its own pros and cons. Okay, so sometimes you may go with a longer cable length. You may have the signal iteration, so that you want to confine only with a shorter distance in the range of several meters. Okay, some may have a high data transmission rate, and some may have a low data transmission rate. Okay, we will be employing different cables at different points. Okay, for example, you take a real-time water tap connectivity, which is coming from a corporate that is a corporation office, that is a municipal office to your home. Can you have you seen that that is the pipeline that is being laid from the municipality office to your house? Will it be same throughout the entire distance, or how it will be? Students, I need your answers. You just take a real-time scenario in which a water line has been laid from the corporation office to your house. So how it is being laid, whether the pipeline is of same length or same capacity, it is being laid from your corporate or municipal office to your house, or it has been reduced at a particular point of time, or particular point or location. You just tell me, students.
It will be reduced.
Yes, Naveen. Naveen? Whether you have...
Sir,
yes, Naveen?
yes, sir, it will be reduced, sir, at certain points.
At the starting point where you are pumping the water, you will be having a larger size of pipe. When it keeps on leading down to a larger region, you will be having reduction in the size of the pipe. Okay, finally, when it reaches your house, you will be having a very small thickness. Likewise, you will be employing a different types of cable. Starting from an origin point, you may have from ISP service providers, will be having your cable which is having a high data rate. So when you reaches to you, you may have at a different data rates of different types of cable. So that is what we will be discussing. So we make use of the twisted pair cable, then the coaxial cable. So normally where you will be employing this cable, that we will be discussing. Then all these are metal, or you can say a copper conductors that can accept and transport signal in the form of a electrical current. As I told that when you are physically connected, your information that is available in the form of ones and zeros will be converted into electrical signal. Then this converted electrical signal will be flown through these cables. Okay. So that is what you have the copper cable here. The optical fiber is the cable that accepts and transport your signal in the form of light. So light is the media in which you are going to convey your information. So there is a separate domain or the course available for your optical communication. You will be studying in this in a 7th or 8th semester. Then twisted pair. So this is the one among the three. You have the coaxial cable, then twisted pair, and finally you have the optical fiber. So am I running out of time? Shall we stop with this point of time, or shall we continue? Students, kindly let me know.
Yes,
So
sir.
what is
In the topic oda முடிச்சிட்டோம்.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. In the topic oda முடிச்சிட்டோம், sir.
Okay. So if I start, then it will take some time. Okay. So we'll start with this one. So from next class, we'll start with this twisted pair. We'll start with the guided media introduction. Okay. Then from the next class, we continue with the guided media types. Okay. So starting from twisted pair, coaxial cable, and fiber optic cable. Okay. So if you have any queries, you can ask me now. If you have any queries, you can ask me. Students, if you have any queries, you can ask, no doubt. So you are very clear with the topic that I have taught today. Okay. With relevant to assignment, so how is the thing going with your laboratory? So whether you are practicing those things which you have discussed in the last class for the laboratory. I need some answers, students. How many of you started practicing? Students, I need some answers. I can't get you. Darun, you are practicing, Ravi. Okay, fine. Okay, so with this topic, if you don't have, as you told that you don't have any doubt, so we'll wind up now. So we'll resume our class with the topic of cable, that is the guided media types, in the next class. Okay, so next class probably we'll be completing our unit 1. So once the unit 1 is completed, I'll give the assignment so that you will make use of those topics that you have discussed, and also with the references available in the website, and also the textbook, you submit the assignment. Okay. Thank you, students. We will meet again in the next class. Thank you.